When Joe first ran for district attorney, he promised approachability. Joe has honored his open door promise as your DA. Joe has visited and met with many teachers about our kids. And yes, Joe and his family have made after hours part of the DA's office. Maybe that's why his staff and friends want him to run again. Approachable Joe. His door was open then. His door is open now. A powerful position in the hands of a humble man. Re-elect Approachable Joe, District Attorney.
The following program is paid for by the Waits Campaign Fund. A panel from the Terrebonne Parish DA's office answered questions from businessman Mark Black so that you could better understand your DA's office and how the office itself works.
My name is Glenn Bourgeois. I'm the Director of Probation Services at the DA's office. I supervise all of the probation, diversion, and pretrial release programs associated with the programs office.
Hi, I'm Bernadette Pickett. I'm an Assistant District Attorney, and I'm the Executive Director of the Terrebonne Children's Advocacy Center.
Hi, I'm Kevin Guidry. I'm the Administrator of the Terrebonne Parish District Attorney's Office.
I'm Danny Smith, and I'm the Drug Court Coordinator for the Terrebonne Parish District Attorney's Office, also the Director of the Domestic Violence Program, and the Administrator for the DWI Court.
Hi, I'm Clarence McGuire with the Terrebonne Drug Court and DWI Court. I'm the Treatment Director.
And now some questions for Kevin. Kevin, give me an overview of the DA's office from a business standpoint and include purchases of real estate and other items and how this directly enhances the office in general.
Most of our viewers know that the District Attorney's Office primarily handles criminal matters. I guess when they think about us, they think about lawyers in court prosecuting criminal cases, which is true. That is our primary responsibility. And Title 16 of the Louisiana Revised Statutes provides for that being our primary function. And we do that, and we do it very well. We handle everything from traffic tickets to murders, rapes, very serious crimes. But in addition to the very important business that we do in the courthouse, in the courtroom, there are many programs, community-oriented, community service programs that we do for the citizens of Terrebonne Parish that Mr. Waits has begun and are improved over the years. And today what we'd like to do is talk to you about those programs and let our viewing public know that your district attorney's office does a lot more than prosecute criminals in the courtroom. We have a variety of programs that we're going to be talking to you about today, and we're very fortunate to have a great staff, and some of those folks are here with us. They're going to elaborate on some of these programs in some detail and let our viewers know what it is we do for them on a daily basis. We have been able to acquire what many folks know as the Kirschman's Building. We call it our programs office. Mr. Glenn Bourgeois, who will be speaking with us in a bit, actually runs that entire facility for us, including some of the programs in that facility. That building is about just over 30,000 square feet. We house in that facility all of the drug court, the DWI court, all of our diversion and probationary programs, the entire child support enforcement division of our office. And we have the luxury, by having that facility, of having the space and the classrooms, meeting rooms if you will, where we can actually hold and conduct all of our educational programs, all of our meetings and counseling sessions, our meetings with our domestic violence individuals, our meetings with our drug and DWI court clients, and all of the meetings and trainings and educational components of our diversion program, the various classes that Mr. Bourgeois will be telling us about shortly. All of those things we are able to house in one place. It's a one-stop shop for the public where they can come in and receive those services in a facility that can accommodate those programs.
Through trusty labor 90% trustee labor. We had trustees in there, and if the public hasn't been in this building, they need to go see it. It is something they've done very, very, very nicely with trustee labors. And you know what? We actually had one trustee. We were getting ready to complete it, and he was released. He wanted to come back and finish his job. That's how proud he was, and that says the type of work that they would do. That they did an excellent job, and we're very proud. But that building brought all my services and all the programs together that we can multitask and use some for others. So it's been a blessing, and we're finally all under one roof. Before we were scattered out everywhere, and that wasn't working good. Now we're all together, and sometimes the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. Now it's more of a team. It's a better team. We had a good team before. It's a better team.
Bernadette, some questions for you. Since Mr. Joe Waits has been elected district attorney, he has made both a conscious effort and a realistic effort to enhance protection and services for children. Can you elaborate on that for a moment?
There are various programs. We begin with the Advocacy Center, and in that aspect, unfortunately, the child is a victim. So we have the child who will come in and be interviewed. The child has been abused sexually or physically at that point, and an interview is done of the child. From that point, counseling is provided for the child. We have a licensed counselor on staff who will work with the child until the counselor decides the child can be released. That could be a week before trial, or that could be 4 years after trial. So the counselor is there to help the child realize that this was not the child's fault and to become a productive member of society. We have a victim advocate who will work with the child and the family from the moment the police officer brings that child into the advocacy center, That's one aspect. So we have the interview of the child who's been victimized. We have some counseling done for the child. We have some victim services for the child. But in a whole different aspect, we also run the truancy program. Kids miss school for various reasons. Sometimes they don't want to go, or sometimes the parents don't force them to go. So we've partnered with the school board, and we have a truancy program. That's worked wonders. We had a situation where we had a little third grader missing a lot of school. We finally got the mom to bring the child to our truancy hearing after 5 or so times of trying to get the child there. The mother comes in with the child. The mother's scared to death that we're going to do something to her. But it's there to help people. We're trying to figure out, why would you let such a young child miss so much school? She finally admitted that a ex-boyfriend of hers had been holding her hostage. He wouldn't let her out. She finally escaped and finally thought maybe he's going away. She brought the child to the hearing to try to get the child back in school. Lo and behold, we investigated that, found out all the facts. They prosecuted the case, and the man's in jail for 30 or so years, So that's the kind of stuff that comes out because we're trying to help kids and the families. We have another program called the Family Services Division. I have retired principals and counselors in the elementary schools in the parish, and they go in and they work with the counselors. The counselors in the schools are overburdened. They don't have the time to work with all the kids who have problems. So we started the Family Services program, and it could be anything as simple as the child needing eyeglasses, and the parents don't realize it, don't have the means to get it. We work with them. We help with tutoring, and you may say, why is that the DA's responsibility? It's about social services and helping make it a better community. And the teachers love that the people are in the schools. I have principals calling me, trying to get into other schools.
I believe in hiring qualified people that can get the job done and giving them the ability to say, hey, go do it. Come to me if you need me, but this is my vision. Help me accomplish my vision. And I've been blessed with many, many good employees that have helped do that. And so the many programs that we've started, when you look back from drug court, DWI court, our elderly abuse program, all these, I'm in the schools every day addressing problems on the front end to prevent them from being in the criminal justice system at a later date.
There are more programs at the DA's office now. The opponent says there are too many. So here is a chance to set the record straight for the citizens of Terrebonne Parish on the programs they receive.
Dealing with child support in 2013, the amount of child support that was collected was $9,404,379. That was just in one calendar year. That's the amount of money that was collected for children. The child support office, they have 12 people on staff. They have walk-ins who come in every day. In September, just this month, they had 285 people walk in to open child support cases. And it's just unbelievable how important the child support office is, that it's a service that's provided to the community. You can walk in, it's a $25 fee to open a child support case, and if you're on Medicaid, Medicare, it's free. They will do it for you as a service to you, that you can make sure that the father or the non-paying parent will be forced to pay that what's owed to the child.
How does that compare with the office before and after Mr. Waits took over as district attorney?
You have more people who are working the cases, more money is coming in, and I think it's going up tenfold.
Very proud of my child support numbers. The district attorney's office, when I took over in 1997, was collecting approximately $1 million a year in child support, and that's significant. We've grown it. We now collect $10 million a year. Since becoming district attorney, I have collected close to $120 million for the children of Terrebonne Parish.
There's growth in Terrebonne Parish, and with that growth, more crime, more heroin, there's more synthetic marijuana, there's more bath salts, a little bit of everything. So maybe now a group discussion. Correlate how all that is driving up the DA's office to bring in staff to take care of it. And at the same time, how do you keep monies coming in to balance the procedures?
And on the child support, I'm looking at Ms. Pickett's notes here, and in 1998, that office collected about right at $2 million. In 2013, as she's indicated, we collected $9,400,000. Now, obviously, that's a lot more work. That's a lot more paper. That's a lot more files. It's a lot more of everything. So it's obviously going to take more personnel to handle that, to service the public. 200 and some odd walk-ins. Somebody's got to be there, not just to greet that person, but to also sit down with them, conduct an interview, find out what's going on in their situation, process that file. So there's court time that's involved, depending on whether the person's going to stipulate to pay the child support, or if we have to take them into court. We have an attorney that does that. That's all he does, is handle child support cases. So obviously, it's common sense, just like any business. As you grow and there's more dollars taken in and there's more work to be done, obviously you're going to need more staff to take care of that.
The Supreme Court comes in, they send a group to actually study your numbers. They make the determination as to whether or not you need or don't need. And we follow the recommendations of that survey when they come in and actually see what's going on in Terrebonne. So Joe Waits just doesn't say, hey, I need 10 more lawyers. It just doesn't work that way.
There's been a tremendous amount of awards for Mr. Waits and you as staff, not only on the local level, but on a national level.
Going all the way back to 2002, Mr. Waits has been honored by the state enforcement agency as most collected per individual staff member, highest percentage of obligation establishment, highest percentage of paternity established, first place in obligation in 2005 and 2006, first place in obligations established again in 06 and 07, and running pretty much every year through current. So, just about every year when the folks at the state meet to talk about who does what in the state with respect to child support. The Terrebonne Parish DA's office, Mr. Waits' office, is always number one or number two in the state in collections, in paternities established, in handling our business and handling our court matters as well as our in-office matters. So that's something we're extremely proud of, and it's something that Mr. Waits doesn't toot his own horn. He doesn't make a big deal about that. that, but those are the kinds of things that that have happened because of his vision and foresight and his concern about this area of the DA's office, and of course a really dedicated and tremendously hardworking staff that is there day in and day out, processing the paper, doing the work, serving these folks. I mean, we've got people actually on the street actually having to serve them court notices and so forth. So that's the result of that hard work, are these wonderful honors and awards, you know, that our office has received.
When I took my oath of office many years ago, I promised the people of this parish I would do my very best to be a good district attorney, to institute programs, do things that's going to help us as a community, help us grow, be more prosperous, and take the drugs off the streets. And if I just sat back, I would feel like I have failed in my job. That's why I wanted to institute all these programs, move forward, be progressive. When I was the president of the District Attorneys Association several years ago, it always came up at our meetings, hey, what are y'all doing in Terrebonne? We want to do that. We like that. We like that program. And there's so many district attorneys across this state that have taken programs that I have developed here in Terrebonne Parish, and they're all over the state. Project LEAD, we're in the school system, and if you go all across the state, Project LEAD is like, it's known to everyone. We started it, we had the first one, the only one that we got out of California. When Kevin Guidry and I flew over there and said, we like this program. If it can work out there, I know doggone sure it can work here in Terrebonne. That's just one example of some of the programs we've started.
We've read about this program and also viewed it on HTV. What is Project LEAD and what does it mean for our area?
Project LEAD, Legal Enrichment and Decision Making. That program we brought here from California. It is a program that you go into the 5th grade classroom and you have a book and you have little scenarios in the book, and in the story, you have so many stories in the book. You read the story with the 5th grade class, and then you go over the questions and answers, and it's decision making. What's the best answer? Why would you choose this answer? Why are you doing this? And it makes them think. And it's scenarios about anything from graffiti to some marijuana or something like that, and you put them in real life situations and make them make the best decision. We've been doing this for quite a few years now, going into the classrooms, and the kids enjoy it. When it's over at the end of the school year, there's a mock trial involved, which all the kids seem to love, and it's just another way to reach out to the community and get those kids at a young age where they're impressionable and help them make the right decision. It talks about bullying, it talks about peer pressure, and sometimes doing the right thing isn't always the cool thing, but you make them realize the right thing is always the right thing, and it's a very important concept. And Mr. Waits, as well as many of the assistant DAs, we have a couple of judges who may work with us sometime and go into the classrooms, and it's really an important aspect. The kids look forward to going to 5th grade in order to do Project LEAD.
I've seen a lot of kids destroy their lives with drugs, dropping out of school, and I feel if they look up to officials as leaders, and they look up to us. And I feel like as a district attorney and as a leader of this community, I want to give them the proper tools and the information, let them know, hey, we're behind you. You need to stay in school. They need to hear that.
It seems like the kids really enjoyed this today.
They obviously did. They got into it, and I think they received the message that they can be whatever they want to be if they put their hearts and their minds to it. And the whole purpose is to let them know that we want them to be successful. We want them to succeed, but we do not want them to be involved with drugs and alcohol. And it's those type of things that can shatter those dreams.
Now, notice that in government, a lot of people don't bring up God, but in your talk today, you gave them 4 things to think about. And the last one, of course, and the most important, was to keep God and religion in their life. And that was good to see.
I believe very strongly in keeping God in prayers in our life. That's the way I was grown. That's the way I was raised, and I grew up that way. And I think these kids need to hear it, and I think they need to exercise it and practice it. I think it's very important.
I also want to talk about the cooperation between the DA's office, not only with local law enforcement officers and parish government, but also with neighboring parishes. For example, the DA in Lafourche Parish, Cam Morval, and his texting and driving campaign. It's got national attention, but as egos happen in the political world, sometimes somebody doesn't want to do something that somebody else does, but not with Mr. Waits. They talk, they communicate. If something's working in another place, bring it to your place and give them something that's working and exchange ideas. The texting and driving programs, prom night. Comment on that a bit.
I can attest to that because I was principal of many schools, but the last one was Mulberry. And Mr. Waits would come to Mulberry every year with some type of a program for the children to teach them about different aspects of the law and about safety and things like that. And he and I talked about one day that perhaps I could work for the district attorney and do programs in the school system since I was a retired principal. And so what we did was we got together with Acadian Ambulance, State Police, City Police, Sheriff's Office, Homeland Police Department, and we formed a co-op where we would go into all of the high schools, and we called it Prom Night, where we would go in and we would, first of all, talk about the accidents that children are involved with. It's the leading cause of death among teens is automobile accidents. And 29% of all of the automobile accidents involved with children, alcohol is involved. So we felt like if we could get to the students and explain to them how dangerous drinking and driving is, that we would have a great impact on them, especially prom night. Prom night is the most dangerous night for teenagers because of the temptation to drink and drive or drink before the prom or after the prom. We've had many deaths right here in Terrebonne Parish concerning that. So we go into the schools and we discuss that with them. One of the things that you have to understand is that 80% of all high school children admit that they have tried alcohol. And 50% of all seniors have experienced marijuana.
Just going to add to the underage drinking programs, Danny, and to the sharing of programs in different parishes. In Thibodaux, they have Project 360, which you can see the billboards if you drive down Canal Street. And at Mr. Waits' direction, Clarence and I are initiating a version of that program in Terrebonne, which Clarence facilitates. And what Project 360 is a public information campaign for underage drinking, underage possession, and purchase of alcohol. So we'll probably be seeing those billboards and those posters going up at Mr. Waits' request sometime probably in the next 8 to 10 weeks.
Synthetic marijuana was very similar to that of real grown marijuana, which is so far from the truth. You know, as we know, they're spraying chemicals on some potpourri, then they're smoking it. They have no clue what they're smoking it. They're bleeding in the brain. They're causing permanent brain damage. They've become delusional and doing crazy things. Many have died from it. Many have permanent disabilities as a result thereof. So yes, we've been very active in trying to take this off of our market, out of our stores, and we have been very aggressive in prosecuting the people that are selling it to our children, and we've been able to follow up the food chain to get to some of the big dealers, and we have actually charged them. And we have some major drug cases going on where we have taken these things off the streets and out of our kids' hands.
When Joe first ran for district attorney, he promised approachability. Joe has honored his open door promise as your DA. Joe has visited and met with many teachers about our kids. And yes, Joe and his family have made after hours part of the DA's office. Maybe that's why his staff and friends want him to run again. Approachable Joe. His door was open then. His door is open now. A powerful position in the hands of a humble man. Re-elect Approachable Joe, District Attorney.